Wow. As they vow to never give up on the search for Amy, her mum and brother Ivor and Brad are joining us live from Virginia now. Thank you so much for joining us, really. It's such a gripping, unbelievable documentary. It really is. Brad, take us back to the day that you arrived on the cruise to start us off.
Yeah, good morning, Joel and Emma. Thanks for having us. Yeah, so the day we arrived, Amy and I flew down to San Juan together, separate from my parents. And so we met up, got to the ship, and everyone boarded, bringing our luggage to our room. And, the first thing we did when we got there is went out onto the balcony. So we're on the 8th story, high up over the water, and I leaned over the rail to look straight down. And so I tell Amy, I was like, "Oh my God, Amy, look at this." And she said, "Nope." Stood back by the sliding glass door. So we, went around the ship, looked around at all the things to see, spent some time at the pool, went to the casino, went to dinner, and, we were having a great time.
And Ivor, you spent some days sailing, and then you docked in Aruba and spent the day there exploring. What happened after that?
Well, we were at sea on Sunday, and on Monday we docked at Aruba, and we decided as a family to get off in Aruba, look through the town, buy some gifts. Amy bought gifts for her friends. We bought some things. We rented a Jeep or some type of open air vehicle, and we took off, and we ended up getting lost on Aruba on the other side of the island. It was very hot. We found our way back, grabbed a bite to eat, I think, at Taco Bell. Then we boarded the ship again. And at that point, we were ready for our formal evening, and we took our showers, and everybody got dressed up. And we went to dinner and had a lovely dinner that evening.
And Brad, I'm sorry to go over the details of this. This is obviously for the people that haven't watched the documentary. So you and Amy partied on the ship that night, is that right? Just before returning to your room?
Yes, sir. So, before the boat left Aruba to head to Curacao, there was a big pool party where everybody attended, and lots of activity and music and dancing and that kind of thing. We were talking with our parents' business associates, and everybody just having a great time. When the pool party ended, we decided to go up to the dance club and spend a couple hours up there until the place closed down. So at about 3 o'clock, the club closed, and Amy was sitting up on the upper balcony inside the dance club with some people. I was talking to a couple people that I had met, who I went out onto the upper deck with to hang out for half hour or so. And then when I left the club, I motioned to Amy, like, I'm going to be out here, and she waved me on. So I got back to my room around 3:35 a.m. The key card data shows that Amy came in just 5 minutes later. She came out through the room and joined me on the balcony. Then we spent, a short amount of time talking about what we were going to be doing the next day. Close to 4 o'clock in the morning, either just before or just after, knowing that we had to be up in a couple hours for the next day. I told her I was going to go to bed. She said that the wind felt good, and she was laying on the chaise lounge against the sliding glass door, and said she was just going to sleep in the chair. So I told her I loved her, and went inside and closed the door behind me. And I was woken up by my parents the next morning, standing at the foot of my bed, letting me know they were going out to look for her.
And it was your dad, wasn't it, that discovered that she was missing, that she wasn't there?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So he woke up around 5:30. Looked at the clock, looked over at me on the pull-out couch. Didn't see Amy, so he looked a bit further, and a couple feet beside me on the other side of the sliding glass door, he could see her legs in the chair. Her upper half was blocked by the curtain on the window. And knowing that we were going to be getting up very shortly, he decided to leave her alone. When he woke up again at 6 a.m., the sliding glass door was ajar, and she wasn't there.
And obviously, when you couldn't find her, that's obviously, the mad thing for me is this must be so traumatic to keep talking about, but it's obviously so important for you to sort of get people talking about it and get people talking about the documentary to take it further. That when your dad couldn't find Amy, that's when things just began to escalate, right?
Yes, sir. So he went out, I think fully expecting to find her. I mean, he thought it was odd, but I don't think there was any panic that had set in immediately. Odd that we would be up so late and she would be, out of the room so early. So he goes out and searches, all the public areas, for 45 minutes roughly. And, after obviously not finding her, he came back to the room to wake up my mom and I. And they told me they were going to look around, and they asked me to stay in the room in case she were to come back, before they got back, so we didn't miss each other. About 20 minutes later or so, they came back to get me and asked me to come help. So we all went out searching everywhere we had been and everywhere we knew to look.
And when you were looking, when people were out there looking for Amy, there's somebody in the documentary that goes by the name of Yellow, who was one of the band members who was on the cruise ship that Amy had been seen with the night before. But is it right that he approached you?
Yes, ma'am. So this was probably somewhere between 7:30 and 8 a.m. And after I had kind of seemingly exhausted the areas to look in, I sat by myself at a table and chairs next to the pool, and kind of realizing that what the situation potentially was, and understanding it wasn't good. Yellow walked up to me, and first thing he said was, "Hey, man, I'm sorry to hear about your sister." So at the time that didn't register to me. I'm in my head, and I don't know what to do, and so I thanked him for saying that, and then he said, I left her at 3:30 a.m. What happened? When did you last see her? So I started to describe, the last time, when I left the club, when I got back to the room, and he stopped me and he said, "Hold on a second. I want my brother to hear this." So he walks over about 50 feet to my right to another table that had some, 3-4 guys sitting at it. And he brought one of them back. And then he says, "Okay, go ahead." So, I proceeded to give them my timeline, and let them know all the details of when I last saw her, when I went to bed, and all that kind of thing, when she came in. And, I've always thought it odd since, in retrospect, that, first he, was sorry about Amy, but there had been no announcements made. Maybe, the captain of the ship knew because my parents had gone to the purser's desk at about 7:30. But I think it's strange that he was in the know so early in the morning. And then, obviously I gave them the timeline to get their story straight, potentially.
And Ivor, there's been a lot of sightings since, and the documentary really goes into this. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we've had individuals contact us over the years, and we've got several sightings. We've got a sighting in San Francisco, we've got a sighting in Curacao, Aruba, Barbados. And so we have followed everything right down until today. We're still working on those leads. And she has been sighted by very credible individuals who we've actually built relationships with over the years. We feel very, very solid about these individuals and these sightings.
Yeah, and in 2005, Ivor, you received pictures, didn't you, of a woman that people believed was Amy?
Yes, we received some photographs of a lady called Jazz, and after having forensic studies done of these pictures, it has been determined by individuals in the forensic arena that these are actually Amy. When we first got the pictures, they were harsh and hard to look at. And then we have, because of the work that's been done on determining if it could be her, we feel like it's definitely Amy.
And just to finish, what do you guys believe has happened currently? What do you think has happened? Where do you think she is?
Well, obviously, we don't know where she is. Since the show came out, we've gotten thousands of tips and leads, and people, sending prayers and love and different ideas. And we think what happened to Amy is that she was targeted, she was seen, and she was taken, removed from the ship. We believe that she was trafficked into some sort of sex trade situation. But obviously we need that one person that knows something to come forward and help us. I think there's actually quite a few more than one person that knows. But we're waiting on that one call that breaks this thing open.
It is a desperately sad case, and I'm so sorry that you've gone through that for so many years. It's like Joel said, it's a fascinating but really sad watch, actually. And I think it's especially, Ivor, watching you in that, you can kind of see how painful it is for all of you. So thank you so much for coming on today, and hopefully this will raise even more awareness. And I just keep everything crossed that you will find Amy.
Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you so much for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every single day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the morning.